Let's take the ultrasonic sensor. So there are two versions of the ultrasonic sensor. So what we are using is ultrasonic sensor with 4 pins. Okay. So don't use 3 pins sensor, use 4 pins. So it is here, ultrasonic distance sensor. So connect to the breadboard. First pin you can give to VCC. Next is echo and ground. Yeah, so this is the design. So I'll explain this code. I think because of copy pasting, I think some errors are there. So you can use this code, put it in chat box. So I'll explain the code. So first one is trigger pin. So we have connected trigger pin to pin number 6, and the echo pin we are connected to pin number 7. And so this is variable to hold distance, and this is to calculate the time. So how much duration the ultrasonic waves has taken to travel from sensor to object. And we are initializing. So trigger pin will be output. Okay. So output for the sensor. The data to this sensor we are giving from the Arduino. Okay. So trigger pin and echo pin. So echo pin is input. So input the whatever the reflected waves comes to the sensor. So this echo pin will capture those waves, and it will give this information to the Arduino, and then Arduino calculates how much pulse it has taken, how much time it has taken. So that will be with respect to echo pin. Okay. So what we are doing, so first initializing the trigger pin to low, so that it is not sending any waves. So that's what it is, low. And then we are using this delay microseconds. So 2 microseconds we will wait, and then we will send a pulse. So the Arduino will give this trigger pin a pulse of time. Okay. So how much pulse it will give? Here we are giving 10 pulse. So for 10 microseconds, okay, so the trigger pin will send a ultrasonic waves. So that is what a delay of microseconds 10. So 10 for 10 seconds, 10 microseconds, the trigger pin will send the ultrasonic waves. Then after 10 seconds, we will stop the sending ultrasonic waves. That's what digital write trig pin comma low. Okay. And then so once the ultrasonic waves hits the object and the waves gets reflected, so the echo pin will capture that. So we can use this function pulse in. So in order to identify how much time it has elapsed, so we can use this built-in function, that is pulse in, for the echo pin. So if a signal is captured, then we'll going to calculate the pulse in. So after that, so this duration, using this duration, we are going to calculate the distance. So how we are calculating distance? So speed, so this is 0.034 is so 340 meters per second is the speed of the ultrasonic waves. Okay, so since it is converted to centimeters, so it is 0.034 into duration. So the pulse in will give you the duration, so by 2. So because it is going through going and coming back wave, so that's why we are dividing by 2. So with this we are going to get the distance. So this is the code. Yeah, it's showing error now. Oh, are you able to run the program? I think I have done this experiment. Okay, it is. Here I've done this is for different uh, here up to here, like we are calculating the distance, and based on the distance I'm glowing different LED. So if uh, distance is greater than 50, so I'm glowing red LED, sorry, I'm going green LED. And if distance is less than, in between 15 to 50, then I'm glowing yellow LED. And if this distance is less than 15, I'm glowing red LED. So this is what the experiment. So, yeah. So how to see the output? So run the simulation and click on the sensor. Yeah. So you can see that the object. So based on the object distance, so it is 75 now, 75.6. So that's why green is blinking. Okay. So if I increase the distance, you can see, you can, if I decrease the distance, you can see that yellow is blinking. And for, yeah, so if the object is very near, so it is blinking. I think this type of this type you can, I think you have seen in the cars, right, when you are taking reverse gear, and if the object is very near, so it will give you a beeping sound, right? So if this is the range, so if is this is the range, if the object is not within the range, then the ultrasonic sensor will not detect any object. So no need to do this LED, just no, connect the ultrasonic sensor. And so I will share code up to here. You are able to do, please answer.
Yes, sir.
This is loop. So this is how the ultrasonic sensor works. Any doubts? Any questions? Anyone done? So you can share your screen. If anyone done, you can share the screen. Just I want to see the output. So what all we are using? So you can just use trigger, constant in trigger, echo pin, distance, and duration. Declare that and initialize that in the void setup, and then you can use uh, these lines for calculating the distance. Anyone completed? If you have any errors, you can present. We'll debug.
Sir, can you explain the 27th line?
This one. Okay, duration equal to pulse in echo pin, comma height. See, as I told, what is this echo pin? So if once the reflected waves will hit this sensor, okay, so that will be captured by the echo pin. Okay, this is the receiver. You can see there is a transmitter and a receiver. So this receiver is connected to the echo pin. So once the reflected wave hit this particular sensor, so they will be captured. So for capturing those reflected waves, we have pulsing. So this is the function. Okay, so it will calculate the time duration. So the point at which we are sending the ultrasonic ultrasonic waves, and the point at which we are receiving. So there will be a time duration. So that duration can be calculated by using this pulse in built-in function. Okay, so echo pin comma high. So what do you mean by high? So if there are waves, it will go to high. If there are no reflected waves, it will be in low, right? So until this becomes high, so the pulse in, so it will wait for the pulse in. So it will calculate the time. Understood?
Sir, but why 25 line delay microseconds is given? It will delay the duration, like increase the duration.
I think I have told this while explaining. So what happens? We are sending the ultrasonic waves for 10 microseconds. So we are not sending the waves continuously. We are sending the ultrasonic waves for 10 seconds. So that's why it is delay microseconds of 10. So after that, we are going to stop the sending of ultrasonic waves. Otherwise, we are sending the waves. So that time we cannot calculate the distance accurately because the waves keeps on coming back, right?
Yes, sir.
So in order to do that, that's why we are sending for 10 microseconds and we are stopping the sending of waves. These are the lines.
Yes, sir.
Oh. Any other doubts? Based on the distance, you can use a buzzer, so it will give you buzzing sound. So you can turn on that. You can do a number of applications here. So what we have done in the project is, say suppose if two people comes within the 2 meter radius, then the buzzer should go on. So there are one more project we have done with the ultrasonic sensor. So anyone completed? Are you people doing?
Yes, sir. Done.
Okay. Others? Devyani, you are doing?
Yes, sir.
Completed?
Yes, sir.
Can anyone share the screen? Please share the screen. We'll move to the next sensor. Just I want to verify you are done. Okay. You can see that output, Rahul, Rohit. You can see the output in the serial monitor. Yeah, distance. Yeah. So you can vary that and you can see the distance.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Next sensor is smoke smoke detector sensor, detecting sensor. Okay. I think this is how the sensor looks. So the specialty of this sensor is that it can detect various gases. Okay, like say for example, it can detect the gas from the LPG. Okay, methane, alcohol, hydrogen. So these kind of gases this sensor can identify, and depending upon the gas concentration. Okay, depending upon the gas concentration, the voltage varies here. Okay, depending if there is a more gas concentration, then the voltage will be very high, and if the gas concentration is very low, then the voltage will be very low. So this is how this is what the working principle of this smoke detector sensors. So this the we have a sensor called as, for this we have a sensor called as MQ2. So this smoke detecting sensor can be called as MQ2 sensor. So we have 4 pins. So one is a VCC ground, and another one is analog pin, and another one is digital pin. So this analog pin we are using. So this analog pin we are connecting to one of the analog pins. So depending upon the gas concentration, so the voltage value varies. So this smoke sensor has built-in potentiometer, small potentiometer. So if the gas concentration varies, this potentiometer changes its bar, so that the voltage will change. So that we are reading with the analog pin, and based on that we can do some multiple tasks. So here we are doing we are using a buzzer to make a beep sound. So but you can see there are two pins for the buzzer. One is connected to the digital pin and another one is connected to ground. Okay, if we send a high to the buzzer, so buzzer will start beeping. Okay, and others we have used the LED pins. So based on the gas concentration, the LED pin will be the LEDs will be glowing. So this gas sensor is smoke detecting sensor is not there in the Tinkercad. So that's the reason we are not doing this. Okay. The basic thing is it will detect the gases present in the atmosphere, and it will vary the voltage based on the concentration of the gas. So this is the pin diagram. Okay, we have 4 pins. So one is VCC, ground, and the one is analog pin and digital pin. So this is how we can connect. Okay, and next sensor is a liquid crystal display. So if you want to display some information, so we can use this crystal display. So we can if you want to print something, and if someone some if you want to write something, okay, you can use this display. So it has 8 data pins, so 8 digital data pins. So these are the pins you can see from. We will start from the beginning. So first one is ground. So the first 3 pins are connected to the potentiometer. Okay, so the the potentiometer pins, right? So there are 3 pins for the potentiometer. One will be ground, and the will be VCC, and the middle one will be connected to the pin. So here that middle pin we are connecting to the this LCD display called as V0. So this is the pin we are connecting to the potentiometer. So if we can if we change the potentiometer value, so the contrast of the letters we are displaying, it will change. So if you want more contrast, then we can increase the potentiometer value. So whatever the text we are displaying in the LCD, so it looks very bright. So that is the first 3 pins, and the next pin is resistor select. So this resistor select will operate on the memory of this LCD display. So whatever the data that we want to print, so that will be stored in the memory. So in order to select what type of resistor, so whether it is a data resistor or an instruction resistor, we use this resistor select pin. Okay, so here you can see that this resistor select pin we are connecting to the pin number 12. And next is a read write mode. So whether we are reading from the LCD or we are writing from the LCD, so that will be uh, selected based on this read write pin. And next is enable pin. So whether we can start the writing or data or reading the data. In order to make this LCD enable, we use this pin. So in order to make this LCD enable, we'll send high to this particular enable pin. And next we have data pins. So if at all we want to send a data or take a data from the LCD, we use this digital pins. So with these digital pins, we can send a data or receive the data from the LCD. And under other 2 pins are the LCD is connected to ground as well as VCC. So these 2 pins are used for that. So these are the pins we have in a LCD display. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So 16 pins are there in the LCD. In the 16 pins, 8 pins are used for data pins. Okay. So in order to access this LCD information, So we have a header file called as liquid crystal.h. So here we have they have defined all the definitions of the functions. Say for example LCD begin. So in order to start writing onto the LCD, we should write LCD begin. So it will point to the starting position of the LCD. And if we want to print anything on the LCD, we can print using the lcd.print and LCD set cursor. So within the LCD display, we can set the cursor at any position. So that we can do with the LCD dot set cursor. And if we don't want to display anything, then you can say LCD dot no display. And if you want to display something, then you can write LCD dot display. So this is how the connection looks. So as I said, the first three lines will be connected to the first three pins will be connected to the potentiometer. Okay, so first one is connected to VCC, second one is connected to ground, and the V0 pin is connected to the middle pin of the potentiometer. So we can vary this the bar of the potentiometer so that the contrast will change in the LCD. And next is reset pin. So reset pin we need to connect to the digital pin of the Arduino. You can connect any of the digital pin, then read write pin, then enable pin, then digital pins. So and then ground and VCC. So this is the connection. Just I will show the demo of it. I think for doing connection it will take a lot of time. So just see the connection. So I will show that. So what I'm doing, so I have connected the digital pins. Data pins are like 5, 4, 3, 2, and 12 I have connected to the uh, read resistor select, and 11 I have connected to the read write pin. And I have displayed lcd.print hello IoT on the display. Yeah, you can see that the string is printed here. So we can vary this bar. You can see that the contrast of the string we are printing is changing. So if we are selecting with a low value, then you cannot see the string. If we are giving the high contrast, then you can see that and see the value. Yeah. So it is blinking because I have used this function. So lcd.print, so it will display this value, and for after the delay of 1 second, I'm making a clear. So lcd.clear. So that's the reason it is blinking. Okay. So if you want to do this connection, let me know whether if you want to do this connection or not. So there are 14 pins, sorry, 16 pins. So you need to connect these pins to the Arduino. If you want to do, I will explain. So if it's okay, then I will move to the next. Okay, we'll move to the next. So if we have time, okay, after demo, then I will show you the connections. Parallel, you can also do it. So next is the DC motor. Okay, this is how the DC motor looks. Okay, so DC motor is a direct current motor. So if we supply the power, so the motor will start rotating. So this DC motor we have to connect to the pulse width modulation pins. So you can see that in the Arduino. So you can see that in the Arduino we have some pins which are marked as a tilt symbol, right? So say in number 10, 9, 6. So these are called as pulse digital pulse width modulation pins. So you can see that. So if the tilt symbol is there, it means that they are PWM pins. So what do you mean by this PWM? I think electrical or EC students can tell that. What is the pulse width modulation? Anyone knows? Can anyone answer what is pulse width modulation? So what happens in the pulse width modulation technique is that, so we are given a digital signal. So the digital signal will be either 0 or 1, right? So given a digital signal, we want to give the output in a analog signal. So we can vary this analog value based on the digital signal through pulse width modulation technique. Okay, so we can vary the analog signal by giving the input digital signal using pulse width modulation. So how we can vary? So we can vary the output of the analog signal by varying the duty cycle of the digital signal. So these are called as pulses. So here you can see that if we give the higher pulse or higher duty cycle, say for example here the duty cycle is very less, the average voltage duty cycle in the sense the average voltage, if we vary this duty cycle, then we can vary the voltage of the analog signal. So you can see if we give shorter duty cycle, we have the lowest volt value. Okay, we can voltage will be less. If we give higher duty cycle, then we will be having higher voltage. So that is how the pulse width modulation works. So I will repeat once again. The pulse width modulation is a technique, okay, where we can vary the analog signal by using the digital signal. So in the Arduino, we have some pins which are called as PWM pins. So these are the pins like 10, 9, and 6. So these pins are marked as a tilt symbol. So these pins can be used for pulse width modulation technique. So in the DC motor, uh, yeah, so this is the DC motor. You can see that this shaft will rotate, okay, so based on the voltage. So this we will connect this to the uh, power. If we connect to this pins to the power, so this shaft will start rotating. So what we are doing, we are varying this rotation speed by changing the value in the digital signal through pulse width modulation technique. So this is what the connection. So for this connection we are using, if we connect directly to the this DC motor to the Arduino pin, so what happens, the power at which the DC motor runs is very high. Okay, so there is a possibility of damaging the pin, Arduino pin. So that's the reason, in order to limit the flow of current, so we are using this transistor and diode. So diode is used for making the flow of current in one direction. Okay, so that the current will flow from Arduino to the DC motor, not from the DC motor to the Arduino. So that's the reason we are using this diode, and we are using this transistor similar to this transistor will be acting as a switch. So this is how we can connect this DC motor to the Arduino. So the pins in the transistor, we have three pins. So one is connected to the ground, and the other is connected to the digital pin, and the third one we are connecting to the DC motor. So while connecting to the DC motor, we use a diode so that the current will flow in one direction. Okay, so the one end of the diode is connected to the one pin of the DC motor, and the other end of the diode is connected to the another pin of the DC motor, and with the same point we are connecting to the 5 volt. So this is the connection. I hope you can do this connection. Okay, or take the DC motor, take Arduino breadboard, take transistor, and take one diode. So these are the components required. So one end is connected to the DC motor and connect to this. And the other end to the other pin. Okay, and this we connect to the ground. And middle pin you need to connect to the digital pin via resistor. First we'll connect resistor. And this end will connect to the source, power source. So the first one we are connected to the ground. This middle pin we are connected to the digital pin via a resistor, right? And the third pin we are connected to the DC motor with a diode. So the one point of the diode we are connected to the ground. Sorry, one pin, and the other pin we are connected to the other pin of the DC motor. So this is the connection. I'll share the code. Something is missing. So this is the connection. So this point we are connected to this. So this point we need to connect to this pin. This pin. Yes, as you can see that the motor is rotating. So the speed of the motor is varying based on the pulse width modulation technique. Okay, so this is the code what we are writing. So pin node motor. So the transistor pin that we are connected to the Arduino, that we call it as a pin in this program, it is pin of motor. So it is connected to the pin number 10, that is initialized as output. Okay, and we are writing onto this pin node motor high or low. So this is the digital signal we are giving to this particular DC motor. So based on this digital signal, this motor is rotating. So this is the analog data, right? So this analog data we are varying based on the pulse width modulation technique. So this is the working principle of the DC motor. So where exactly these DC motors are used? So you can find the applications like DC motors are used in lift, okay, or mining device, or vacuum cleaners. So these are some applications where the DC motors are used. So I request all of you to do this simulation. So the sensors are there. So just do the connections and use this code. I will share this code. Yeah, do these connections. So connections are simple. So connect wire transistor and diode and connect to the DC motor. So if anyone completed, let me know and share the screen. So make sure that you connect the diode. Uh, so the cathode is connected to the red pin of the terminal 2 of the DC motor, and the other end of the diode, okay, which is an anode part, which is connected to the terminal 1 of the DC motor. So if you interchange, I think it won't work.
So what if I want to run it anti-clockwise?
And this is changing that. For that, we have another H bridge sensor. H There is a H bridge sensor. Okay, using that H bridge sensor, you can change the uh, direction of the this motor, so clockwise or anti-clockwise. So for the I have not I have, for this demo I have not used that. So if you are interested, you can use that H bridge. Okay, if you want, I can show you in the last hour. That is 3 to 4 session will be there. No, at that time I will show. So I have not done that for this demo. Okay, so in order to control the direction of the motor, so you can use that H bridge.
Okay, sir.
So I have done connection running. Rahul done. Anyone completed? Or if you have any errors, please present. We'll see. So this is a hands-on session. So I want you people to work on it, see the output, can vary some instructions and see the output, how it works. Anyone done? Anyone completed?
Oh yes, I'm done.
Okay. Others? So what are the IoT protocols you have studied? I think last session was IoT protocol, no? What protocols you have studied? You know, you got to know. So you'll say, for example, what protocol can be used in the application layer in the IoT?
MQTT.
Yes. Message queue telemetry transport protocol, right? So that is MQTT protocol. Any other protocol? There is another protocol called as CoAP protocol. So constrained application protocol. So which is basically based on the HTTP version of the IoT. Okay, that is the application protocol. So in the transport layer, we have UDP and UDP and TCP. So generally we use UDP at the in the IoT protocol because we are sending very small amount of data and it doesn't require any guarantee of delivery. So that's the reason we use UDP. And next is at the network layer, what protocol? So I will tell you why I'm asking all these questions. So if you want to work on this protocol stack of the IoT, so there is a simulator. Okay, there is a simulator or a operating system. So what we have is a Contiki operating system. Okay, so this is the this is the operating system that we are using in with these type of devices. Whatever we are doing Arduino, so this is for educational purpose, but for industry IoT we have different type of IoT devices. Say for example, MikaZ is there, Vismot is there, Kuja mode is there. Like that, we have different industry IoT. So if at all, if you want to communicate from one IoT to the another IoT device or a gateway, then we require set of protocols. So we need set of rules to communicate the data, right? So for that we require some operating system. So this is the operating system. This is the widely used operating system. There are other operating system like TinyOS. What else? Um, TinyOS is there. Uh, IoT OS is there, and Contiki operating system is there. So these are some of the operating system. So this is uh, the what type of operating system we can use at the IoT device, and this is the protocol stack of the IoT. This particular Contiki operating system. So we have these first three layers. So these first three layers are the Mac physical layer and Mac layer. So at the physical layer, we use this particular operating system uses the radio, duty cycling, and Mac. Okay, so which is similar to that of 802.15.4. Okay, and at the network layer we have the adaptation layer, that is 6LoWPAN, and at the network layer it uses the UDP and in the network layer it uses the 6LoW RPL, routing protocol for low power and lossy networks. Okay, so and at the transport layer we have UDP, and at the application layer we have a WebSocket, HTTP, and CoAP. So these are the different protocols this Contiki operating system provides. Okay, so these are the files with respect to these protocols. So if you want to know how exactly these protocol works, and you can run some examples with on this particular Contiki operating system using these files. Okay, so if at all if you are interested, you can go through. Okay, so this is the operating system, Contiki operating system. So you can find this in this website. Yeah, so this is why it's not visible in English. So you can download this the Contiki operating system from the GitHub. Okay, you can download and you can open that using virtual machine. So you can there is a image, VMware image. So you can open that and you can see that there are protocols. These are the protocols that are be defined in the already existed and coded in the Contiki operating system. So these are the files you can see, and if at all if you want to change some protocol or you want to modify something, then you can modify these program files. Okay, so if you are interested, just download and do the simulation. And for simulation also, it provides this operating system provides one simulator called as Kuja simulator. Okay, uh, and so if we download this Contiki, you will get like this. This is Contiki.os. So we need to open image. This is the image. So if you open this, so the operating system will be open, and you can see different files which are written for these IoT devices. Okay, and what else? Yeah, you can also simulate on this Contiki operating system. So the simulator is called as Kuja simulator. Okay, so you can see. So this is the Kuja simulator. Like if you don't have money to purchase this industry-based IoTs, then you can do this simulation. So you can add a nodes, you can run different examples in this particular simulator. So you can see that there are two nodes. Okay, so one will be they are these both nodes will communicate, and the data will be visible here, and you can send some information. You can do such activity in this Kuja simulator. Okay, so if you are interested and want to know more, you can contact me. So I hope you people have done that, have completed this simulator. So I have prepared a small quiz of 10 questions. So I will share the link in the group. So please take that quiz. And from one after the break, that is from 1:45. So my student will be showing you the demo of this uh, with the actual hardware. Okay. So I will share the link. So please take the quiz. I will share here also. Wait just a second. Yeah, this is the link for quiz. I will share in the WhatsApp group also. Okay, so we'll meet you after the lunch break. Okay, take the quiz, have a lunch, then come back and join. Thanks for joining.